Hey everyone, welcome back to the Board Game Spotlight. Today we're going to look at Terrors of London. This is a competitive deck building game set in a Victorian theme. So let's take this to the table and I'm going to tell you about it. So in Terrors of London, players are going to take on the role of an overlord, and there are 4 overlords in the game. You have Fenris, Azazel, Methuselah, and Lilith. And each of these overlords not only has an asymmetric ability, but also has a deck of asymmetric influence cards that you're going to select to play with and add it into your starting deck of cards. Now, the game plays out over a number of turns, and Terrors of London is a fast-paced, brutal game where you're comboing off and creating these ludicrous synergies off of these 4 different factions within the game. So to start the game, you're going to choose one of your overlords. So we will choose Methuselah. We would then take 2 of our 4 influence cards, and it is recommended that players choose the 2 influence cards with a scorpion symbol on the bottom. So we will choose Death and Domination to start the game, and we will add these into our deck of starting cards. And then we're going to place our health tracker on 40. Now, Methuselah's asymmetric ability is that he can draw a card and discard a card once per turn. Additionally, in the game, you're going to have a deck of 5 cultists, which give you currency, and you're going to have 3 fanatics, which deal damage. And you're going to, just like any deck builder, shuffle these cards up, and you're going to use them to purchase new cards. And so this is what they call the street, and this is a deck of acolytes. These acolytes are going to be the 4 different factions. So we have Spirit, Beast, Mortal, and Undead. And they are going to allow you to ramp your deck a little bit quicker. So each of them is going to provide you with 2 coins as opposed to just the 1 inside of your deck. The street is going to provide very powerful creatures that you can add into your deck. Not only creatures, but sometimes there will be artifacts that arrive in the street. Additionally, there are a number of keywords in the game that are going to do different things. So with this Spirit Wraith, this Haunt ability, when you play it, you're going to take a Haunt token and you're going to place it on top of the card. Now, at the end of your turn, you're going to flip it, and then at the end of your next turn, you're going to dismiss that card. So essentially, what happens with a Haunt creature is that it stays an additional turn. Typically, when you play out your hand of cards, it's going to get discarded into your discard pile, and all of those creatures are going to go away. Haunt is going to stay an additional turn. We also have Claim. Claim is going to allow you to place whatever you purchase from the street, and instead of going into your discard pile, it's going to go on top of your deck. The Curse keyword is going to force your opponent to make a decision. So they are going to have to discard a card from their hand or take 2 damage. The Muster ability is going to give you a Muster token, and these tokens are placed next to your deck, and it is a reminder that at the end of your turn, you're going to draw 1 additional card. And then we have artifacts. Now, artifacts are not placed into your discard. They're not placed on top of your deck. Instead, they are played next to your player tableau. And these artifacts are going to have a wide range of abilities. In fact, these artifacts can completely change the flow of the game. And you could be losing and gain an artifact that's really going to allow you to stabilize and make a comeback. And there are a number of those types of artifacts in the game. They're going to allow you to regenerate health, to purchasing cards, to sacrificing cards, potentially even stopping damage. There are a lot of different uses for the artifacts, for the relics, and they are all very, very good. So let's talk about what you can do on your turn. So there are a number of different actions you can take, but the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your hand of cards. If you're the first player, you're going to have 4. If you are not the first player, you're going to have a hand of 5 cards. You're always going to draw up to 5, so it's only in the first turn of the game where the first player has less than 5 cards in their hand. So here we have 2 currency and 3 power. So we could assign this power to an opponent to deal damage to them. We could use this income or the currency to purchase a card that's going to equal that currency value, or you can take the top card of the Acolyte deck. All of the Acolytes cost 2 coins. Once that deck is gone, you can no longer purchase Acolytes. So one of the actions is to play a card from your hand into your tableau. You could use a buy action. So again, what we just talked about is utilizing the currency that we generate on our turn to purchase a card from the street or an acolyte. You could attack your opponent. We could use this 3 power that we have generated and we could deal that to an opponent. We could take a horde action. Now we don't have any cards at the beginning of the game that are going to help us with the horde action. However, the unique selling point and one of the really interesting parts about this game is that there is this horde mechanic that actually wants players to utilize the different factions in the game and create a panorama for activation. So there's some set collection kind of in the game. So what happens? Let's talk about what a horde mechanic is. If we had these cards in our hand, each of the cards is going to have an ability printed at the very bottom of the card. That is that card's horde ability. When you place a card that matches the faction icon that card wants, so in this instance, if we played the hunter from our hand, we would want to play a spirit or a beast to the left or right. So we could play this spirit to the left and it is going to activate one of our horde abilities. So in this case, we could gain 2 power or curse or destroy a card. You can take one of these actions once during the action phase. So if we were to play a beast on the other side, we could not choose the same one. We would have to choose a different horde action available. But the game can really ramp up while overwhelming your opponent with creatures is going to allow you, depending on how you place them, is going to allow you to have more actions to take. You can also use a relic ability. If we had this card, it would give us 1 power, but we would also have the opportunity to pay 2 coins and sacrifice a card. Now, sacrificing is the culling mechanism inside the game, and there is a lot of opportunity to cull your deck and make sure you have the strongest possible deck available. When you sacrifice a card, you sacrifice from your play area unless otherwise noted. You also have your overlord. So here with Methuselah, we can draw a card from our deck and then it would give us the opportunity to discard a card. So if we didn't want 3 power and instead if we wanted 3 purchase, we could have discarded this fanatic and kept the extra cultist to give us 3 purchasing power, which would have allowed us to purchase the wraith or the hunter. You can also pass your turn. If you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, you can pass your turn. Maybe you want to use that card on your next turn because it's not going to help you right now. Maybe it has a horde ability and you're not able to activate it, so you want to hold it back to hopefully get that activation off. You can pass your turn, keep a card, draw back up to 5, and it's the next player's turn. There are quite a few keywords inside Terrors of London. A few other keywords that we did not talk about. We have Rage. Rage is going to give you 2 power or 2 regeneration. We have Command. When you have a command action, it's going to allow you to return a 3 or less cost card from your discard pile into your hand. So Terrors of London is an in-your-face, fast-paced, competitive deck builder. You get to string together absolutely ridiculous combos set in Victorian theme with absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. The game plays very quickly, 20 to 40 minutes based on player count. The Horde mechanic is going to be something a lot of people are really going to enjoy. The way that you can build your deck centered around either a couple factions, all 4 factions, trying to utilize these Horde mechanics, using your panorama the best you can. So if Terrors of London looks like a game that is for you, if you're interested in knowing more about Terrors of London, take a look at the description below for a link to the Kickstarter campaign. This has been Derek with the Board Game Spotlight, and this has been your preview of Terrors of London.